In today's conscious breathing practice, we're going to spend some time breathing into the three parts of the body. So we're going to breathe into the belly, the rib cage, and the upper chest. Now really pay attention to the feelings within the body, because this is going to tell you where you're at. It's a different feeling when you breathe into the belly. And then you can also feel and sense that transition when you start to get into the rib cage. And then when you fill the rib cage up, the transition into the upper chest, you can actually start to feel these transitions within the body as you breathe. So really, we're going to slow it down, pay attention to the body, and breathe at your pace. Some of you are going to take a little longer on the inhale. Some will be a little shorter. It's all good. Just pay attention to where you're at with the breath inside the body. All right, so sitting up nice and tall, bring the chin slightly towards the chest, relax the shoulders back and down, relax the jaw and the eyes. Let's take an exhale breath to prepare. Good. We'll take an inhale through the nose into the belly all the way up to the chest, and an open mouth exhale. Let the breath go. Good. We'll breathe in and out of the nose. So let's just take a few belly breaths. Take that inhale into the belly and contain the breath into the belly, the lower part of the lungs. Nice smooth exhale out the nose. So we'll breathe in and out of the nose. And really try to compact the breath into this lower section, into the belly. And now you'll notice as you breathe into the belly, you can start to expand into the front, the back, and the sides equally. So really keep that breath compacted, keep it into the lower part of the lungs. Notice the different sensations. It can feel a little uncomfortable. It's all good. Just keep the breath smooth, keep it light. Good. On your next inhale, fill up the belly completely. You may even feel yourself breathing into the lower back, getting into some different zones, perhaps that you haven't gotten to before. So this is all good stuff. But start to bring that breath now into the rib cage, and now contain the breath into the rib cage. So breathing into the belly, fill up completely, and then that transition, you're going to feel a little tightness, and then as you move through that tightness, things expand into the rib cage a little bit more. So see if you can notice that, and just take the breath into the belly, filling up to the rib cage now. Breathe in nice and slow, taking your time with the breath. Some of you may take a longer inhale, maybe 6, 7, 8 seconds. That's all good. Some may be a little shorter. It's totally fine. Pay attention to the feelings and stay disciplined breathing into the belly, the lower part of the lungs. Feel that transition as you come into the rib cage, and then stop once you get to the top of the rib cage. Again, trying to breathe into the sides of the body, the front and the back equally. You can actually get into the back side of the lungs, and to me, that feels the best. When I start to draw and pull that breath along the spine, along the back side of the lungs, filling up the back side, it's a totally different sensation. And just take a few more breaths here, just really breathing consciously, closing the eyes, feeling the breath, sensing the breath. And if it feels uncomfortable, this is good. This is where growth starts to happen. We're expanding into these muscles in between the rib cage. We're expanding into the lungs a little deeper. Take a few more cycles of breath. Inhale through the nose into the belly. Take your time filling up. Notice that transition when you start to get into the rib cage. Fill up into the rib cage, and a nice smooth exhale out the nose. This is a great breathwork practice to do when you're going to sleep. It's a great practice to calm down, to really just get in tune with the body. Drop out of the thinking mind, connect to the body. Good. now we'll start to add on. So continue to breathe into the belly, pulling that breath, filling up completely all the way through the rib cage, and then bringing that breath into the upper chest now, expanding into the shoulders and the collarbones. Notice the transition. Once you breathe into the belly, that transition into the rib cage. Once the rib cage is filled, that transition into the upper chest and the collarbones. Now it may take a little time to open up this space, so just work with it. Take your time here. I like to do this practice sitting up because you can start to really feel the chest move. You can start to feel the rib cage move around, and it's all good if there is a little movement in the body. Helps create some space, helps bring the breath into new areas within the lungs. Good, really taking your time, filling up completely into the belly, so into the back side of the body too. So really bringing that breath low and deep, filling up from the bottom through the rib cage. You might even feel this constriction as you get from one stage to the next and then to the upper. There's this tightness that can be felt. It's all good. Take the breath into that tight zone. Let it expand naturally and easily. See if you can notice these three compartments to the lungs, the lower, the middle, and the upper. And paying particular attention to the breath and those transitions. Maybe you can fill your belly up a little bit bigger than you can fill the upper chest, right? Maybe you feel your chest and your spine lengthen and open up with each breath. These are all things we can pay attention to, and it's these sensations where once we get attuned to it, we can start to pull the breath into those sensations, creating even more space and more openness within the body. Good, so take a few more cycles of breath into the belly. Notice that transition into the rib cage, and then that transition all the way into the upper chest. Smooth exhale out the nose. And then try to start to match the inhale and the exhale in timing and in rhythm. So now this is becoming more of a balanced breath. And you can start to map out the body with the breath. And what I mean by that, if you start to count as you take the inhale, you start to count, you can fill up to the belly. Maybe you fill up once you hit 4, and that transition starts to happen once you hit the 5. And then you start to expand into the rib cage, and then there's that last transition into the upper chest. Maybe that's at number 6. So pay attention. You can count and start to map out the body as you take that inhale, so you'll know where you're at. Because it's really nice not to have to count when we just want to do a breathwork practice to relax, right? We don't want to be counting in our head. So this will help actually map out the body. So you want to inhale for 7 seconds. Take the inhale, fill up, notice when that transition happens to the rib cage, and notice when that transition happens into the upper chest. That exhale be the same length as the inhale. Once you've got the body mapped out with the breath, let go of the counting and then just notice where you're at. As you take that inhale, notice it takes maybe about 4 seconds to fill up the belly, right? And then maybe another 2 seconds to fill up the rib cage, and another 1 or 2 seconds to fill up the upper chest. letting go of the counting completely, just feeling that breath again, sensing the breath, feeling the breath in each compartment, really being patient and taking your time. Good. If you want to continue to add on as you take that breath in, you're filling up the belly all the way through the rib cage, all the way up to the chest. And then as you exhale, you're letting that breath go. And as you get to the bottom of the exhale, you can start to pull the belly in just a little bit, finding more engagement. So a little bit more of that breath comes out. And then be smooth with those transitions. Really smooth out that transition into the inhale and that transition into the exhale. You'll notice there's a slight pause at those transitions, and we don't want to exhale all the air out completely. It makes that transition a little rougher. So just leaving a little bit of oxygen still in the body as you transition into the inhale. You get to the top of the breath, right? Filling up all the way to the top makes that transition to the exhale sometimes not so smooth. So work with this. Find the right level within your own body. Good. Continue for a few more cycles. If it's comfortable, close the eyes. Let go of all your responsibilities, nothing left to do except breathe. Great job, guys. Continue with this breath for as long as you like. This is a practice you can do till you fall asleep or until you find yourself into a nice state of alert relaxation. Let me know how it goes. We'll see you guys in the next video.